guys, Nate here with Murray Farm and Ranch. Man, it's been a minute, but it's about that time. It's about that time. We're getting really close to fall. We're getting really close to those mountain mornings, crisp cold air, and tags in our pocket, right? And this year I have been blessed with 2 tags. I drew 2 mule deer tags, one in Colorado and one in Utah, both for mule deer buck, and basically 2 different type of season situations. We have one which is going to be Colorado, which is the early season muzzleloader, which occurs in September. That hunt is going to take place high alpine, maybe above tree line. Early, very early season. Deer are going to be on their summer feeding patterns. It's going to be very cool. And my second hunt is in Utah. Different kind of terrain, different time of year. It's going to be in early November, and the deer are going to be staging for the rut. Both hunts should just be absolutely incredible. And so it's time for me to really get in gear with getting my rifle shot, getting my load just absolutely tuned in. And so I'm going to show you guys what I'm going to be working with this year. I am going to be making a little bit of change to my setup. The primary thing that I am doing tonight is I'm going to be measuring out some charges for my muzzleloader. And as you guys know, I like to use Blackhorn 209. Now, this stuff is getting very tricky to find. You've got to search long and hard. There's all sorts of scams online. You got to be on your A game. When you find it, you got to buy it and buy as much of it as you can. It has gotten extremely expensive. They have decreased the amount they give you and increased the price. Classic shrinkflation. My old container, this is an older container. It is 10 ounces. The new ones are 8, and they're about 3 times as expensive. So, that sucks, obviously, but I love how Blackhorn shoots. I love how clean it is. I love how dependable it is. And so until something better comes out, this is what I'm going with. So Blackhorn, Blackhorn is my powder of choice. And Blackhorn, they have these tubes. These are graduated cylinders that are marked for grains. And so they are marked, 20 to 120 grains. And the graduated cylinder is great for just kind of a quick reference. It'll get you in the ballpark. And if you're not shooting for extreme accuracy, these are probably okay. But it is not going to be as dialed in as if you weigh it out and you actually measure your charges, you use a trickle device, and you get this exactly to the grain that you want. And so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make probably about 20 charges of, actually I'm probably gonna do 2 different charges. I'm probably gonna do maybe 3. I maybe do like say 1090s, 1095s, and maybe 10 100s initially. Blackhorn is potent, and so a normal charge is like anywhere from 80 to 110 grains. I've found that in my old load, 90 grains worked really well. So anyway, I'm gonna work on figuring out my load. Ammo wise, I am making a switch to the Hornady bore driver ELDX. I listened to a Hornady podcast about this bullet, and they explained some of the benefits of this bullet over some of the others out there, and how and sort of some real advantages of this style bullet over, say, like a, like what I've always used. What I've used in the past are these power belts. This power belt here is a 295 grain power belt, and I am going to be going to a 340 grain Hornady bore driver ELDX. So I'm going to be pushing a bigger bullet. I'm probably going to need a little bit more powder. We're gonna tweak this thing, and we're gonna get it dialed in, and then we're gonna shoot some. We'll see how this thing does. But the first step in the process is I need a bunch of similar charges. So what I'm using for that is I am using my Hornady balance beam scale. This one is obviously not digital. It's an old school scale. I like that. You don't have to worry about having batteries and it running out of not having a charge when you need it and so forth. And so I like to go with the old school. This one will do charges all the way out to like 505 grains, I think. So definitely going to have enough capacity for what we're doing. All right, so guys, here's what I'm doing. I've got my cylinder, which I've kind of pre-measured out. I've got my scale set for where I want it to be. I go ahead and I dump this in, and I expect it to be just a smidge light compared to where I want it. And so what I'm going to do is I've got this little trickle device, and I'm going to just ever so slightly let a little bit of powder out. And what's going to happen is I'm going to get to a spot where I break even on my scale. And I'm going to basically do all these charges this way so that they're all uniform. And then I have I have like, compared to the graduated cylinders, I have something much, much more consistent. And so that should result in better shots on paper. So see guys, what this is doing is this is just giving me more, a more dialed in load. It's going to be it should result in tighter groups on paper, more consistency with the shots, and anything to increase our accuracy and to promote better, faster, cleaner kills, I'm all for. And so guys, if you are a muzzleloader hunter and you are just relying on the charge tubes, I think that you are missing out on an opportunity to improve your accuracy a little bit. Get you a scale. It does not have to be a Hornady. It could be a digital, but I definitely recommend that you get yourself a scale. You start dialing, you start measuring out your powder charges, you get them all consistent, and you take as much variability out of the shooting process as possible. Good shooting, good luck with your tags this year. Hopefully some updates to come.